So, Star Trek Discovery, Episode 10, Season 4, The Galactic Barrier. Let's talk about this episode. Yeah, so, as I feared, last week's episode of Star Trek Discovery, which was pretty good, action-packed and all sort of things, still didn't move the story along at all. Still put us back to square one. So the past 2 weeks we've had stories that have taken the story forward nowhere at all. We had that silly filler episode where they were gambling on that sort of casino. And last week's episode, for all that we went through with a different, anomaly appearing right at the end of the episode after they destroyed the other one, you're just put back into the same spot. Little to no movement in story whatsoever. Apart from now, they've got to go through the galactic barrier a bit quicker to go and, first contact with this alien race. So, obviously, again, we're split into two storylines, one involving Book and Taka, where we find out a bit of the past about Taka. This whole storyline where we find out about this transporter and all this sort of stuff, and something to power this transporter, which will inevitably come up, and it will help them to get through the galactic barrier as well in the next episode and all this sort of thing. But a Discovery transports to the edge of known universe, gets to the galactic barrier, which visually it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the sense that it's like I'm driving my car and I come up to something, as opposed to this barrier that looks like it's, in every direction you should go in. You should, at the end of the universe, you should discover this. But it just feels like, anyway, that's me rambling. So they get there and then they have to find their way through and blah 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 and all this. So the whole episode is dealing with this. Yeah, it's just dealing with this problem. And again, by the end of the episode, we've managed to get through, and they're through the galactic barrier, and they're on the other side, outside of the Milky Way, and it's just like space. Do you know what I mean? It's like not many stars and this sort of thing. Whereas if they look back, it should just be this big. I can't get my head around it. Anyway, so you got little character stories in there, little character moments. You've got Stamets doing his stuff, and the president comes on board. She's tagged along. Ambassadors and all this sort have come along as well. Okay, I'm not going to go in depth into the story, but it's just the writing on this show. I never thought I'd ever become a Star Trek basher, and that's what I feel like, because week on week I'm bashing this series. Now, I love Star Trek of old, the Kirk era, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, even to a degree Voyager. But this series is dragging. It is dragging. We're 10 episodes in, and I feel like I've just been dragged through this storyline. The problem again is, like I'm saying, you've got no antagonist. Yeah, you got this thing that's causing problems, and as this story progresses, we find out it's now on top of Earth, essentially. On top of Earth, to Titan and Navarre. It's pretty much in our area of space, in the Alpha Quadrant, and it's days away from threatening our civilizations, and everyone gets told at the end of the episode that this is the case, and everyone's in shock. And I'm thinking, would you really be in shock that much? It's not your Earth. It's not your Earth anymore. As in, you've jumped forward, however many hundreds of years it was, 800 years or something silly like that. Because everyone you've ever known is dead, right? It's not really your Earth in that sense. It's like, but anyway, so I digress. It's just the writing is so sloppy. The writing is so boring. The side quest with Book and Taka, it just slowed proceedings down. While you've got this eventful thing going on, them trying to get through the barrier, you intercut with a slow storyline of Book telling this story. Taka telling this story of when he was imprisoned, and friendship that he created with this other scientist, and him looking for this scientist and all this sort of thing, and how he double crossed him, blah blah blah, but they were still friends, and it just slows the proceedings down. It's like you got this storyline that should be quick and fast moving, but then you intercut it with slowness, and it just doesn't work. It's just, the show is just, it's crawling. It's like it's on its hands and knees crawling to where it wants to get. It's going, this is the finale we want to get to. We want to get to this, but let's just stretch everything out as much as we can to get there. It is so frustrating. Such a frustrating show to watch. I think we've got 3 episodes left. But that's what I'm saying. No antagonist for it whatsoever. It's just the crew doing what the crew do, and they're also nice, and and hardly any conflict between them. It's just so bloody mind-numbingly boring. And I know you're going to say to me, why are you watching the show yet? I said I was going to watch it. I said I'd review every episode, and I will get to the end of this series and review every episode. That being said, it is a very frustrating show to be getting through. And I probably wouldn't be watching it on day of release if it wasn't for the fact that I sit here and do this so that other people can hear me complain and moan about this goddamn awful Star Trek show that we are given. We deserve better than this. We deserve better. It is a load of rubbish. It has the potential to be good. It does. But and we've had some good seasons, but the writing is just so bad and so boring. These characters are so uninteresting. There's not one character in this show that is gripping, that takes you and you think, yeah, this is a really good character. I want to follow this character. They're all as mind-numbingly dull and boring as each other. It's just such a goddamn mess of a program, and it needs sorting out. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this show. And come back next week for, hopefully I'll be a bit less emotional with my review, with my thoughts on this show. Can it wind me up any more than what it does already? I don't know. It's possible. I'm usually a very calm person, but this show's got me going. Anyway, this is AJ. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Take care all. Goodbye.